Hello everybody, it's Larry. Welcome to today's video. We've got a fantastic video for you today. We're going to show you some new things, but mostly we're going to take some of the stuff that we've already done before in this channel and show you how to use them. Now, this is going to be an actual case that I worked on this weekend. A lady had a DNA surprise. She's in her 70s, or maybe I should say in her 20s for quite a while now. And we're going to find her biological father together. And I think what's really going to be awesome about this video is you can see the centimorgans right here in the spreadsheet. One of the things that I hear a lot is like, Larry, I don't have these 1,600 and 800 and 400 matches. You know, all I've got are these 1 and 200s and not very many of those. And most of them are, down here in this, double digit range. Can you show a video more like that? Well, this is that video. And you're going to see this video is going to be about not only are there not going to be many matches, the trees are going to be non-existent for these DNA matches. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the steps that I did, and I'm going to tell you right now. It's kind of like the old English thing. You tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. The 4-part series that's in channel, the clustering, the dirty trees, the sourcing, and the triangulation, that's still de facto the best that you're going to find out there anywhere for how to do this. Okay, it's the best. It works, guaranteed. They're an hour long each. They were from like May of last year. Maybe I should do an updated one so people are familiar that are just coming to the channel. But if you haven't watched those yet, you must go back and watch those. They're long. You may have to take it at a few sittings. But if you're really trying to find biological parents or grandparents, it will work. And that's what we're going to use in here. The other things that we're also going to use in this video are the What Are the Odds tool. That was really helpful. When I got to about 8 hours, I kind of got stumped. I knew what I was looking for, but I couldn't find it. And so then when I put it in that What Are the Odds tool, it really helped me focus right where to look. And also the ball and pattern method that we've talked about before. I'm going to show you how to use it in a new way. Something that we've not talked about ever on this channel that'll help you look at these trees for these other matches faster. Okay, because it's all about getting to the answer as fast as possible. And to that end, we're going to do that right now. But before we do, if you haven't subscribed, click subscribe, click the bell notification. And this is going to be so good, just go ahead and click like while you're down there. All right, here we go. So we've got 6 matches that we're going to work with in particular. A 241, a 202, 163, 105, 104, and a 33. And you can see what we're going to be working with. We're going to be working with unlinked tree, 14 people, okay, no tree, a tree with 1 person, a tree with like 3 people. We're not going to work with some of these that are blacked out, and then there's going to be another one with like 6 or 7. We're not going to get a lot, but I'm going to show you how to take that not much and put it together. All right. So the ones that are darkened out were actually from a different part of the research, but I figured we'll just use these because it really hones in quickly. You're going to probably have to look at all of these in this list, doing what I'm showing you now, in order to be able to focus on a few. And that will make more sense here in a second. So here's the DNA match list. The first thing you do always is you have to cluster. Okay, you have to color code them. Now, if you don't have Ancestry, if you're doing this on MyHeritage or 23andMe and you have DNA matches over there, you'll have to bring them in. You'll have to use the leads method and do this clustering, this grouping, this color coding manually. Okay, but if you're using Ancestry, you get the advantage of the grouping. All right, so you can just do it right here. But Ancestry doesn't let you copy it into an Excel spreadsheet like everybody else. So any of the other sites, you just do export and then you color code. Here, because you can color code easy, but then you have to manually type the names in the centimorgan matches. So nobody, not any company yet, has the all-inclusive tool for us. Come on, guys, shame on y'all. I mean, somebody's got to step up and give us the tools we need here. All right, so back on target, without chastising the genealogy company, supposedly. This is the list we're going to work with. We're going to work with JK, JH, NM, FC, JH, and TW. All right, and so that I don't accidentally click this up and show all these, because I don't want to take the time to, to block those out, we're just gonna go to the next tab right here and remove that tab. All right, so it's gone. It won't pop back up in this video. All right, so this is JC, and I'm gonna come up and we're just gonna bring this back up again. We're JC, JK, and you can see it says JC here, but it says JK, Joseph Kirk. Okay, so that's gonna tell me a couple of things. And again, this is all public trees, so we're not doing any private information. But what I'm going to show you is how to glean all this information out of what you see. So the first thing we notice is it says JC, and it doesn't have a gender. It's not blue, it's not pink, but we know, it's JK. Well, Joseph Kirk, and this is Judy, and it's not Judy Kirk, and they inherited, so that's either a married name or is it somebody hosting for it? Well, obviously that's a married name, so we know now that this is a female named Judy, JK. Okay, that's why it's labeled JK. All right, it's part of the deduction, folks, and that's how you're going to find out, because you have to know how these people relate to their trees. Now, this comes tip number one. This is something we've never talked about before. We did talk about the ball and pattern, but I'm going to show you how to do it while looking at trees quickly. Okay? Because I think a lot of people get confused with the ball and pattern. They're like, well, Larry, I don't know how to come down. I don't know how they come down to me or to the match that I'm helping. So this is how we're going to do that. So you know that the first one is 3,400, all right, on each side, and then 17,850. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to divide by 2 twice every time I go up a step. I'm taking the pattern, and at that point where it intersects, and I'm folding it together to make one line. But when I do, I'm actually going 2 nodes at a time. So this is going to be 3,417, 850, 425, 212, 106. You're like, Larry, you lost me. All right, so here's what we're doing, is we're going to go up 34, go down 117. So if this level is my MRCA, 3417. Okay, all the descendants are going to be there, are going to match me at 3417 if they're on the equal level to me. And that's going to be the initial assumption, is they're on my level. So 3417. How does that play out? Remember, 34, go down 17, that's option number 1. Or if it's a +1 and they're also related to the other person, it's 3417 plus 17, 34. So if they related through this person, 3417. Those are my 2 options. All right, when I come up here, it's going to be half of 17, which is 850, and 425. So what that is simulating is going 3417, down 1 to 850, down 1 to 425. If you have the +1, it could be an 850. So 3417, 850, 425, because those are the 2 options I got there. And then the next one above that is 212, 106. And we'll just show you how that simulates. 3417, 850, 425, 212, 106. If it's a +1, then you get back to the 212. So 3417, 850, 425, 212, 106. So I know this is the 212, 106 column. This column right here with these 4 grandparents, okay, that's the 850, 425, and the parents are the 34, 1700. All right. So that's kind of the ball and pattern, but it's folded. So maybe we call that the folded ball and pattern for counting backwards. And so every time you go up, like this was 212, 106, what's the next one? 5326. And so when you look at that and you see this 33 in these 60s, okay, 53 and then 26. So it tells you that those matches are going to match me right in here. And then beyond that, 13 and 6, which is as far as ancestry goes, can match me out in here. So you can tell now where these people are going to match you in the tree. So let's go back specifically to our task. So we have JK matches at 241. So they match at 241, and so we're going to go 3417, 850, 412, or 425, excuse me, 212, 106. So the 212, 106, that's going to be our 240 number, 241. All right, so we know that they match us in here. Our DNA, the person that I'm researching, matches this person right here somewhere through one of these MRCAs. Don't know which one, And look here, we have Coit and we have a blank. Well, I want to know what surnames I'm looking for, because one of these 8 surnames are going to intersect with my person, unless they've also got a DNA surprise and their tree's wrong. So let's look at this tree. What can we deduce? Well, we have the female here, Beatrice Barnes, and it has Father Barnes, but it, here Kirk. So this person was pretty good about saying this is the maiden name, Beatrice Barnes. Okay, Kirk, I didn't marry Brock, Sarah Beavers. Okay, so they were pretty good about that. So since this female here, Vivian Steenrod, we know that the parent's going to be a Steenrod, and the mother is probably going to be last name of Coit, but we don't know which one that is. So how do we find that out? Well, it's real easy. I'm going to show you the steps. All we know now is there's a Vivian Steenrod, died in 1921. Mother's name may have the maiden name of Coit. So what we're going to do, click on the person in their tree. Now I'm going to right click, open a new tab, simply because I'm doing the video presentation and I've already got it pulled up. I don't want to mess it up, but I wanted to show you the steps. All right. So right here is bringing it up as if I had clicked on profile. So this is the profile. Now up at the top right hand corner, right there, just under the QR code, it has search. So if you click on search, you can see it's now searching. Okay. And it brings up the search, Vivian Steenrod. All right. Now remember the video that we did on the 9.7 million, with the variations of sliders. Depending on how many sliders you come up, how much you put in this, how many sliders come up. It can be 2 sliders, it can be 10 sliders. So there could be, 10 million variations of how you put the sliders for any specific person. What I have come to do almost every time on this is take the last name and come over to the exact, and then click update. That seems to be the best for doing this. All right, so now here's the Vivian Steenrod, and we already know we're on the right track because see, looky here, the mother's name, Minnie Amelia Coit, and the father Steenrod. So let's look at this tree, and I told you I already had it pulled up, so I'm leaving this as kind of the interim, so you know what we did. Clicked on profile, right, and then whoops, would I move it over? Oh, that's right. So I clicked on profile for Vivian, and then I clicked search when it came up, and then I adjusted the search slider to the last name to be exact, okay, because it was over here, and then updated that, and then I took this tree and I opened it right here. So here's our Vivian Steenrod that's in our first person. We know she died in 1921, mother's Coit. That's all we had. So died in 1921, mother was Minnie Amelia Coit, Ephraim Steenrod. So we're not looking to be accurate because remember in our 4-part series, this is a dirty tree. This isn't a proven tree. This isn't sourced. We're trying to get to the information as fast as possible. So what I've done is I started and I took this tree and I put it in Family Tree Maker. Now, if you don't have the money for Family Tree Maker, MyHeritage actually has a tool that's just like that for building family trees that integrates with their website, and it is free. And or you can buy something like RootsWeb or Family Tree Maker. I preferred Family Tree Maker probably simply because I've used it for 30 years. Family Tree Maker used to be out on disk, and you could use it in that form, and then Ancestry made their internet presence, and then they integrated it with the internet presence, and so I've just been using it from its early versions. I still have literally every version of Family Tree Maker that's ever come out. So Smithsonian, if you're ever interested, I got it. So, I use it. So I copied this tree manually into Family Tree Maker, and I put the names and I just put the dates, something that I could search with. And so for Vivian, it has 1921 and Mother Coit, and so I was able to take here and do Ephraim D. Steenrod as the dad and Minnie Amelia Coit. And I also went one more level up with Robert Steenrod and Eliza Jane Deem, and then Horace Coit and Amelia Coit. So, I went out one more level, and I actually ended up going out one more level on these, but that's for a different video. All right, so we know that this person, we know they connect right in here, because remember, 34, okay, 17, 850, 425, 212, 106. They connect in here. So I don't know where they connect, just somewhere in here right now, but we've got the tree for this one built out. So I'm just going to give it a quick color of blue shade. That just tells me that I've found their tree. I've got their tree. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next person, which is JH. And remember, I'm going to do this and simulate your results. This is the tree that JH has. They have no tree, and I couldn't pull it up without pulling up their picture profile, even though it's public. You know, I'm also covering up the name of the person that I'm helping, but it had no tree. So this is no tree. This is my representation of no tree. It's just a stump. So there's nothing there. So look, we're moving along. We've got number 2. We've got 4 left, right? This is kind of what you're seeing. You're like, Larry, how can I tell who my biological father is from this? You know, and then from that. Well, we're getting there. So now we're going to go to NM. Well, this is where it really is going to take off, and we're going to get the clues we need. Nope. So here, this is the massive tree of NM. So again, using the deduction, they have gray here, but we know that they showed that the father's name was Mormon, and it's Nancy Mormon. I mean, we know. All right, so again, the same thing you did before. We got to get to this tree. All right, so you click on the Russell Mormon, and I'm going to open a new profile page just here, so I don't have to go back and forth. So we're going to take that, so click profile, click on the word search, which is up here in the QR code. Click search for Russell Mormon. And remember what I said? The best advantage is to take the slider for the last name and slide it all the way to the right. So we're going to go right here, slide this all the way to the right, click update. I just have found that's the best for returning the information for the trees. So right here we go, look at this, Russell Steenrod Mormon. So we didn't know that before. It just says Russell Mormon, 1896. So we've got 1896, Russell Steenrod Mormon. So we want to open that. Well, I've already got it. It's Russell S. Mormon for the Steenrod. Okay, Steenrod Mormon. And remember, we saw this Steenrod right here. So we're starting to see this similarity of the Steenrod name. So we're starting to be able to hone in on some similarities. Okay, so there's the search. And right here, we got Elizabeth J. Steenrod and Robert and Eliza Dean. Well, now remember, when we filled in this blank right here, we looked here, there's Eliza Dean and Robert P. Steenrod. So we now know how JK and NM are connected to each other. Okay? We know that they connect. There's Robert and Eliza through Ephraim, and then over here we have Robert and Eliza and through Elizabeth. Okay, they intersect through there, but we have to connect now at under that point someplace. All right, we're starting to see this pattern of connection. So let's go back. We have an idea now. We found their stuff. Now we're going to look for FC, which is a 105. What does FC give us? That's probably going to break the doors open. No, we got a one-person tree, and now we've got a two-person tree. Woo! All right, so we've got Irvin Keller and Florine Steenrod. But notice something. See the name Steenrod? Well, we've seen Steenrod right here. We also saw the Steenrod here. And so now we've got a pretty good idea of where we need to be looking. And so we have an idea that this is Florine Steenrod. And so we're going to kind of figure that out. And I'm not going to go through all the steps again, but what you would do, click on Florine, click on profile, and well, let's just do it. I don't want to leave it out. I want you to see it step by step. We're going to click on search. And then what we're going to do is do the slider for the last name. Okay, do the update. And again, moving that last name slider seems to give us what we need. And here's the tree. All right, I'm going to pull that tree up. So we've got Florine Steenrod, Francis Steenrod, John and Eliza, and then Robert P. and Eliza. So what we've got, here's that Robert P. and Eliza. All right, we had that over here. We had Robert and Eliza. And over here we had Robert and Eliza. Notice that these are connecting. And now you know why I am using this group. So we're starting to see this similarity in the pattern right here. All right, so let's now go to the next one, JH. Well, JH has this tree. So we had Jeanette Barnes, Joseph Kirk, but we seem to remember that somewhere in here we had a Kirk or something like that. So we're going to go back right here. We had a Kirk. Here's a Joseph Kirk, and Beatrice Barnes. So we have a Joseph Kirk and Jeanette Barnes. Well, 1919 to 2013. All right, so let's go back over here. to this. 1919, we don't have a death date. And so Beatrice Jeanette Barnes. So we're starting to see, okay, so this Jeanette Barnes, you know, connected over into here. So now we know that this Barnes right here, this person right here, okay, Joseph Kirk and Beatrice Barnes. There's Joseph Kirk and Beatrice Barnes. This is that other person. So we know that, remember how we had no tree up here at JH? This JH is actually the child of this JH. So now we figured out how they're connected, and we actually got a tree for this one now, because they are this private. This Joseph Kirk and Jeanette Barnes is this person for Joseph Kirk and Beatrice Jeanette Barnes. All right? So we're starting to fill in that tree. All right? And so we know how this one, the Beatrice Jeanette Barnes, goes into the Vivian Steenrod, which goes into the other Steenrods. All right? So now we've gotten all of our people. And so here's the last one we got in our DNA match list. It's that we're going to use. There's TW at 33. And again, you know, we have that same thing where it flows into there. So we're ready. Let's go now. Let's take our information. We've got all of our clues. Okay, we've got all the people, these 6 people, and we're going to put them into the what are the odds tools. Because remember, they all kept going into this Robert Steenrod. All right, so we had FC, who went through Mary, Florine, Francis, and John. We had NM, went through the Mormon, Elizabeth Steenrod, and up. And we had JK, went through Beatrice Barnes and Joseph Kirk, Vivian Steenrod, Ephraim Steenrod, to Robert Steenrod. So now we've taken, and this is what I had done in Family Tree Maker. Okay, I had built this tree, and as I was going through there, these didn't all, these didn't stand out at first. In fact, I'll show you what kind of happened. These that I have blocked off, we're going to show you this one in a minute. This one popped up. But these right here, JK and NH, I started seeing that they were most likely related here and second most likely here. And then here's that Robert Steenrod and Eliza Dream, okay? And then here's Ephraim and Robert. And so it started overlaying, and then these all had Hiram Landman and Elizabeth Dyer. I started seeing the name Landman all the way, just like I saw Steenrod here. Okay, but we're not going to talk about the blue ones. We're just going to talk about the ones right here. And you can see this is kind of the leads method I did, marking, but I did it kind of after the fact as I started noticing the names. These names I grouped together. Okay, so here it is in a tree. So now we're going to use a little bit of logic, because this is kind of where I got stuck, and this is probably where a lot of people get stuck. And so what are our possibilities? Now remember, I'm helping somebody find their family, their biological father. That's the goal of this. This could be for you, okay? So whether it's for you or somebody you're helping, what are our possibilities? Well, at this point, we've got 4 possibilities. We know it's not going to be under Mary Florine, because then that would make them siblings at 105. That's not likely. And that's not going to be likely either. So it's really going to be either coming off of one of this as a sibling and down, one of these is a sibling down, one of these is a sibling down, or a whole new line that we've yet to discover. So we're going to put these possibilities in the what are the odds tool. That's real easy. We're going to click add child, add child, add child, add child. So we don't know where it is there, and we're going to create another line off of this person. We're just going to make a whole new branch of add child for all of these. Okay, remember, we don't know which one of these it could possibly be, so we're just going to add in all of the possibilities and say we don't know where it's at. All right, these are the lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click or hover over here and say use as hypotheses, use as hypotheses, and I'm going to do that for every one of these. Okay, and we're going to let the magic of what are the odds really kick through. And I'm telling you, I didn't use this tool for a long time. On this, finding it, it was instrumental in finding it. Here, I'm going to scroll up just a little bit so I can get to that hover. All right, and here, uses hypotheses, and uses hypotheses. So when we do this, look at the scores. All right, these are not possible. Zeros, they're not there. Now, I got a score of 1, means it's possible, but this is 13, means 13 times more possible than that one. And this is 56 times more possible than that one, 142, 289. But look at this, 11,394 and 33,601. So this made more sense because this was all the people I could find in the censuses. I didn't think that there was other people there. And so let's focus in on this. But here we got a score of 1, a score of 13, a 289, and a 33,601. I think we have where we need to look. Now, this hypothesis 9, the name of their hypothesis, this is the person that I'm helping. And we're looking here for the biological father connection. You know, she's looking for her father. And we've got this part. So what we need to do is find the children of Ephraim Steenrod, find all of their children, and then one of those grandchildren is going to be the person I'm looking for. Okay? So I've actually found, you know, their great-grandparent. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to find all the possible grandparents to find the possible parents. So when I did this, I went to Ephraim Steenrod, and again, these people are all, you know, they're all older in age. So 1862, 1950, they obviously have censuses and everything out there for them. So there's a lot of documents that I can find and go look for all the people to fill this in. All right. So I was able to look, what are all the children for Ephraim Steenrod? Well, you can see you have Meredith, Lulu, Robert, Vivian, Horace, Frank, Violet, and Susan. Okay, and I had to enter each one of those manually in order to figure it out. Now, Susan, I was able to eliminate right away because look at the birth and death year, 1909 to 1909. And then as I went through, there was another one right here, died at age 15 and did not have children. So that left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possibilities. And I've already got 3 of those 6 labeled. And so that's why I put, you know, the other I got one of those here. So what I did is I actually put all the children in here and on my family tree. And then I started listing all the children of those children. So again, what I did is I went to every one of these people. And so I'd start with, let's say, Meredith. Okay. Meredith had these children. Okay. And go back. And then I went to Lulu. And Lulu had these children, and I went to the censuses to see how many children they have. Well, you can see some of them have 1, some of them have many. And so as you go through there, you'd go through each one, Robert Riley Steenrod, unknown spouse, had to go through the censuses to find, you know, children. So what I did is I went to look and find what was available right here. So if I go to the Meredith here, and I go to Gilbert Steenrod, did you notice something there? Here, let's go back. Notice the names that I had. I had a Hiram Landman and Ephraim Steenrod. So when I went to the Meredith, who was Meredith married to? Okay, so right here, as soon as I clicked on the child for the Minnie Amelia Coit and Meredith Vernon Steenrod, look at the name that I got. Landman. I actually knew at that point that I had found it because I had been able to connect these people. Okay? I knew it was there. I knew this was the right track. Now, I had the Harold Gilbert. I had to look up and find all the children, which took more resources. And here ended up there were 2 sons. One died in 1935, which was before the child in question was born. She was born in the 40s. So using the What Are the Odds tool, I was able to really focus in here. And remember, the one child of Ephraim here was that, whoops, did I lose it here? Where did I do it? It was that Gilbert, and then I was able to go from Gilbert right here. Harold Gilbert and then his father. So sorry for the confusion right there, but I don't want to like tear it all down and show it again. But Ephraim Steenrod took the child and found the grandchild, and this grandchild was married to Landman, which was the other name that I had with the other cluster that kept showing up. So with that, I told you that there was this person showed up. It says new one. While I'm doing this, as fate would have it, a 750 match came up. And they had kind of this line. And so what I did here is I'm going to actually, because this is our person, I'm going to add a child. And then I'm going to define a half relationship to hypothesis 9. And then I'm going to add a child here. And I'm going to put it in the centimorgan match, which was 751. And look what happens. All right, so let's go back to what we did here. Or well, it was 715. I'm sorry. Let's change this. It's not going to edit match 715. It's 715. Okay. All right. So same thing. It now made all of these impossible. And this, we knew we had the answer. Not only did we know it now based on the centimorgans and the triangulation, but also this person was a Steenrod who was married to a landman. All right. So let's see if I can get lucky and figure out which one I did that on. Right here. So Harold Gilbert, or Meredith Vernon, was married to Zelma Landman. Okay? So Meredith Gilbert. So this person right here, we can remove hypotheses, edit name. So Harold Gilbert Steenrod. And then we knew that Harold's father was Ephraim Daniel, which was the son of this Ephraim. Okay, and that's where it kind of got confusing for a little bit. So we got an Ephraim Daniel Steenrod. All right, so there we go. We now have the biological father for our person. So we can actually, we know all these are 0, so I can just actually come over here and delete those. Those lines on a lot of cases didn't even exist, but again, I wanted to show you the steps, and it's not this line, so I can delete that, and it deletes all that line. So in the end, this is what we ended up with. This is what we started with. And remember, the trees, I mean, some of these were stumps. They had 0 and 1 and 2. I mean, these were not like these massive trees for these people. So we had one with 0, one with 1, one with 2. And then, we had this one that had, a few, not a whole lot, and this one had a whole lot. People want these trees and they want them all built out in order to be able to find them, but you don't need that. You just need to be observant to what's there. And when you do, you can make a master tree and get it to this point. So there we have it. You know that the person that I helped, their initials are CS. We found their biological father. It took us about 16 hours from beginning to end. And again, a lot of that 16 hours because we had to figure out what the trees were for these people. But we were also able to take the clues that were right here, like the Joseph Kirk and the Beatrice Barnes. And so we went out to some of these others and we started noticing, the Joseph Kirk and the Beatrice Jeanette Barnes. Okay. Beatrice J. Jeanette Barnes. So you start noticing that and notice that this is the parent for the other person, knowing that they tested together. So that was able to help us, flip it out. And we were able to take this small list of 6 people. And then when this one popped in, then it just blanked it. Now, we already knew, but let's say that this one hadn't come in. Let's just remove this one again, delete that. We still know that that's where it was, and you remember it was 33,000 as compared to the other ones. Okay, so we were able to figure it out from there, and we would have figured it out simply by taking the grandchildren of this Ephraim, finding Ephraim and Harold, and then knowing who it was. All right, so there we go. That's it from beginning to end. I think this will help you, and I think, like I said, the only new thing that we introduced in this video that's not already in another video is, let's call it the squished ball and pattern, where instead of counting up and down, or coming up here and down and up here and down, we just counted down as we went up. We went 3417, 85425, 212, 106, and the next one would be 5326, and then beyond that, you're at the end. So that's the only new thing that we've introduced before. And then I guess the other thing we talked about was, clicking on the profile and bringing up the profile page and moving that slider for the last name. If you move that slider all the way to the right, it tends to give you the trees, and then you can pick the tree, and then up at the top right where it says tools, it's covered up there, click on view and tree, and it'll bring up that person's tree. So we really didn't introduce anything new. We've talked about the what are the odds tool, we've talked about the sliders, we've talked about the ball and pattern, just a little bit of a tweak on how to use that effectively. We've talked about the DNA clustering, we talked about how to do the dirty trees. So everything that we did in this video, there is a breakout video in channel about that. And I'll try to put links to all those if you want to watch and learn about each step. But this is how you do it. And from this, we were able to find the biological parent for this person. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you find it useful and you'd like for just to help fund me to help solve the DNA problems for other people, consider supporting. That QR code. I went through a couple of dozen Dr. Peppers over that 16 hours and some coffee and stuff, caffeine to keep me awake, because once I got on it, I didn't want to turn loose. I do need your support. I do have to take care of annual subscriptions, and I do have to, use, some tools, buy the Family Tree Maker and learning how to do them and the training and whatnot. So if you can help me, it really turns around and helps you and helps them. So please consider supporting. You can use Patreon if you want to be an ongoing supporter with the subscription. You can subscribe with the QR code, because it takes you to a PayPal link in order to help support the channel. Please consider going up to the QR code and supporting the channel, because it's your support that allowed me to help this person find their biological father this weekend. And we try to help as many as we can, and also produce videos. You notice that I get blanks for a while. Sometimes it gets emotional, because when I'm helping like this lady, I take on that emotion. I know what it feels like firsthand to go, oops, that's not really your biological father. I know how it feels, and especially this lady being in her 70s, I did not want it to carry on, and so I want to be able to do it. So if you want to help, maybe these videos maybe not helping you as much yet as you had hoped, but still we are taking the techniques here and helping people, and it is helping some people. So please consider helping support us, support them. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. If you haven't already subscribed, why not? I mean, it doesn't cost a thing. Click subscribe, click that bell notification so you know the next one that comes out, and we'll show you some more tips and tricks on how to do your genealogy and find your family. Break down those walls.